Welcome everyone to Gamer Meld. As you can see, yes, this is a talking head video, and I know I did one just a couple days ago, but unfortunately I wasn't planning on doing one today. But alas, here I am. Just kind of think of this as extra content, something I wouldn't be able to do otherwise. Either way, the reason I'm here is because the review embargo on Intel's 10th Gen CPUs has officially been lifted. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to get one or any of them, which is kind of odd because they had told me that they were going to talk to me about it, then never got back to me. But anyway, here I am, and some of these processors are available. So when I'm going over this, after I'm done, if you want to check them out, please check out the affiliate links in the description below. Anyway, the reviews are out, so let's get started. Of course, many of you kind of already know the specs, so I'm really just going to jump into it, but what I'm going to be focusing on is going to be the i9 10900K and the i5 10600K, which are the two main processors most reviewers got. So first up, let's talk performance, starting with professional workloads. And first up, we have Cinebench R20. As you can see, the 10900K is doing significantly better than the last gen 9900K. Thanks to its higher clocks as well as 2 additional cores. And the same can be said for the 10600K versus the 9600K thanks to the addition of hyperthreading. But when we compare it to the Ryzen CPUs, you can see that they are still doing better in their respective fields. We have the 3600X beating out the 10600K, though not by much. And then we have the 3900X beating out the 10900K by a good bit more, but still not such a significant amount that we've seen in the past. And then we can kind of see this throughout most of the professional workloads. When we look at compression as well as decompression in 7-zip, you can see the 3900X beats out the 10900K. And yeah, this is one where the 3600 did lose slightly to the 10600K. But when we go here, the 3600 in decompression does end up winning by quite a bit more than it lost in the compression. Either way, it's simply proof that in these workloads, more cores trumps higher clocks. Then when we move over to WinRAR, this is one area where I do believe cache becomes a major hindrance here, which is probably why the 10900K won as well as the 10600K, and they won by quite a bit. But the simple fact is that overall, you can see, once again, 3900X wins here. The 3600 does lose slightly, but simply put, overall, things are kind of similar to how they were during Coffee Lake versus the Ryzen 2 era, where you have professional workloads, AMD pretty much dominates across the board at, although I will say that Intel has come back quite a bit. They're doing much better. This is far more comparable. With that said, the simple fact is that Intel's effectively still running on their Skylake architecture, and I don't care how many pluses you put after the 14 nanometers, it's still 14 nanometers. Now, with that said, Intel has absolutely done an incredible job with the architecture. Being able to push 14 nanometers as far as they have is unbelievably impressive. I don't care who you are. But it's becoming apparent that they're running on their last leg. They've got to do something next, or as many of you know, 4th Gen Ryzen is coming and it's expected in September. And if it does really anything, it's going to make this just look terrible. But at the same time, this is 3rd Gen versus 10th Gen. So in that regard, Intel is doing all right. But one of the major caveats is actually right here. You can look at the prices. We have the 10600K, and I know I'm kind of blocking some of that. Just kind of trust me here. Either way, this is the 10600K. Unfortunately, it's not for sale right now as far as I can tell, so we can't really say the price, but the 10900K is. And when we look right here, you can see it's already over $500. Now it is sold out, but at the same time, compare that to the Ryzen 9 3900X, it would be pretty comparable if it was the original price, but this is actually $100 less. Then we can look at the 3600. It's $30 less than it should be, which makes it right at $100 less than the MSRP of the 10600K. Basically, Ryzen is for the most part winning in professional workloads and being significantly cheaper than the competition. With that said, one area where Intel almost always dominates is going to be gaming. And I will admit that that has remained true. When we look right here, I'm going to be going to a couple different reviews, so you'll kind of see things change. But right here, we have a GTX 1080. You might think, oh, but that's so old. That's not very great to kind of show a big difference. But this is at 720p. You're not going to be playing at that resolution more than likely. Anyway, this first one, as you can see, the 10900K does absolutely beat the 3900X by a pretty significant margin. And then we see the same thing for the 10600K. We have the 3600 down here at 143 versus 159. Not a giant difference, but a fairly decent one. Next up, we have World of Tanks, which is fairly similar. We see the 10900K is definitely beating out the 3900X, but at the same time, this is at an FPS that's so big, no one's really even going to be able to take advantage of it, though it is done at 1080p and it's medium. But at the same time, an odd thing here is that the 3600 ended up beating out the 10600K, though we're talking margin of error stuff. Still, at the same performance is fairly impressive. Next up, you can see that the limiting factor is absolutely the GPU here. Even at 720p with the 1080, they're pretty much identical across the board. I will say the 3600 actually did get a slight dip, though we're talking only a few FPS here. Then we have F1, some fairly similar results, the 3600 right underneath it. The 3900X is fairly significantly less to the 10900K, but at the end of the day, these are really high frame rates, and that's the only real way that they can make a big difference. Next up, Metro Exodus, they're fairly similar. Then we have Total War. Now this one was pretty surprising. You can see the minimum FPS 3900X got quite a bit lower, but average overall pretty similar. So at the end of the day, what this means is, yes, Intel's 10th gen processors are better than Ryzen at gaming. But as something that I've kind of always been pushing pretty hard, you have to remember that the simple fact is that unless you play with really low resolutions or have one of the best GPUs on the market, you're really not going to see that big of a difference at all. Now, if you are someone with say a 2080 or 2080 Ti and all you do is game, you know what? You really may benefit from a 10th gen CPU. But when you do any kind of professional workloads, the simple fact is that in the vast majority of times, Ryzen is going to be the go-to, especially when we compare pricing. We're looking at the 3900X being $100 less than the 10900K, yet it completely dominates it at these professional workloads. And as you'd guess, it does it at significantly higher power draw. We can see here the 10900K pulls more power than the 16-core 3950X. We're talking almost double. It's unbelievable. Then when we look at the 10600K, it's quite a bit better, but compared to the 3600, it's pretty bad. Basically, at the end of the day, while Intel gave it their absolute all on 14 nanometers, and I genuinely commend them for doing so well on such an aging platform, it really isn't good enough. Now, certain day-to-day tasks do benefit from higher clocks, and your gaming is going to be better if you get such a great GPU, and that's really something I think Intel does not get across well. Yes, this is the best gaming CPU, but in the vast majority of times, it's going to be your GPU that's your bottleneck. But either way, this does still at least put Intel at a better standing against Ryzen, and it gives some people a fairly good reason to buy it. That is, until 4th gen. So while that does it for today, if you liked the video, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and let me know what you think down in the comments below. And as always, have a great day.